Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to everyone out there, especially from whatever part of the world you're tuning in from. And first of all, I would just like to apologize for the late entry this morning. In fact, I'm so exhausted right now trying to ensure that we have a better experience this morning. So I've been witnessing some technical issues from internet service to issues with my streamer and the likes. So I've been battling it for the last 30 to 40 minutes now. I think 1 hour 40 minutes now, and I just had an headway just a couple of minutes ago, and thank goodness that we are back this morning live. I was hoping not to miss this very important day, considering the fact that we are anticipating the CPI data, which is going to be a very key determinant of price movement for today. But thank goodness we are back on live. So on this note, I welcome you all to yet another promising session. So I will try to make sure that this session is as short as possible, because I'm also having another session in about 40 minutes from now with another platform. So let's get this party started this morning. And as usual, the first thing we are going to be doing is to dive right into the economic calendar, as we all want to keep tabs with the fundamental factors that are likely going to be driving price movement for today. And in fact, we all know how these factors manifest on the chart in technical patterns and price movement. And by monitoring the economic calendar, we can easily identify potential correlations between key economic releases and specific technical patterns. And one of the key events we are looking forward to today is the CPI. But let's just dive right into the economic calendar. And I would like to see some feedbacks, please, as regards to the sound quality and the visuals. If they are quite okay, please let me know in the comment section. I see your comment, Tyson Brian. So sorry, I just explained why we coming in live late this morning. And Richard Blackhead, good morning to you. Trust you're still around. Let me know in the comment section if you're still around. And all right, so let me know if the network is good, if the reception over there is very okay, and if not, let me know so that I can do the necessary adjustments. So, as usual, the first thing we are going to be doing this morning is to take a look at the economic calendar. Of course, we want to see what the majority in the market are looking forward to. And at the same time, let's see how the market is going to be anticipating this event, so that we can be able to position ourselves in such a way that we can catch that potential move when it finally happens. So for today, Wednesday, July 12th, we have the consumer price index, which I told you earlier is an indicator of the inflation of the economy. So the consumer price index is released by the US Bureau of Labor Statistics, and it is a measure of price movement by the comparison between the retail price of a representative shopping basket of goods and services. It's a key indicator to measure inflation and changes in purchasing trends. Generally speaking, a high reading is seen as positive, while a low reading is seen as negative. Now, from the look of things right here, the previous data came in at 0.1%, and the general consensus are projecting is 0.3% here. So it's a little bit on the high side. So there is a tendency that we could have negative figures for the US dollar today. We never can tell how the market is going to be reacting to this event. And so we are going to be looking forward to what the actual data is going to be like. Will it be just as expected, below expectation, or even beyond expectation? But most importantly, what we are going to be doing in this session is to try and see, review the current price action, sniff out technical structures or patterns that we can use to anticipate this event. So with that being said here, let's dive right into the business for today. And as usual, the first instrument we are going to be taking on this morning is going to be the USOilSPOT. All right, so on the USOilSPOT, we have been quite profitable on this instrument in the last 24 hours. Remember, we were in a loss at the beginning of the week. On Tuesday, we had two losses, one from the buy position we took and the other from the sell position we took. And I told us all yesterday that we should keep calm, that there is still a chance for us to capture any potential move. And during our live session yesterday, this is what we were able to spot here. We had a couple of trend lines which we said we are going to be using to guide our trading activity yesterday. And one of the trend lines is the descending trend line here after we connected the series of lower highs, remember. And then we also identified the higher lows here, which captured the pivot lows, which was insinuating a continued buying pressure in this market after sellers found it difficult to break through that $73 area, which is sitting just right above our key level for the week. And with this situation here yesterday, I told us all that we are going to be buying at the breakout retest of that descending trend line. As you can see what happened, that was exactly what happened yesterday. We saw the breakout of that structure. I think an hour into the New York session, we saw the retest of structure to confirm that opportunity to the upside. And in fact, if you had missed out on that opportunity, the fact that price action remained on our ascending trend line, the breakout of the $73.60 level will have been a very beautiful level to have your buy stop order. And you can see what happened. We had multiple entries. The breakout of the $74 level, and of course the breakout of the $74.55 area. So it has been quite a profitable trade for us on the USOilSPOT so far this week, as we were able to scoop in over how many pips now? For the first position is running with about 180 pips, while the second position is running currently with about 140 pips, and the third position here is running with about 100 pips. So on this one alone, we were able to scoop over 300 pips in profit on the USOilSPOT, recouping whatever loss we made on Monday. Remember, we had a couple of losses on Monday, and thank goodness we were able to scoop up whatever we had made. So with over 300 pips running in profit, well done to everyone who had been on standby to take advantage of these opportunities. So the next thing we are going to be doing here is to protect our position. Of course, that is how we do it here in this community. As soon as price action moves significantly well in our favor, we definitely want to be moving our stop losses to secure our current position. And from what I can see here, from this current structure we have, I will be suggesting that our stop losses will be anywhere below the $74.55 level. And in fact, we want to be giving room for price action to break, so we can extend it a little bit to the downside, so that price action, if it comes back into that area in an attempt to do a retracement, we will still be in the trade to join the trend continuation to the upside. So let's move all stop losses and let's dive into what our expectations is going to be like for today. Now, going into today's trading session, how do we intend to manage our position on the USOilSPOT? Well, while trying to decipher what could go on this morning, I was able to identify a simple setup that I think we are going to be using to guide our trading activity for today. Now, what I noticed here since the New York session yesterday was that as soon as price action got into that psychological level, at the $75 area, we begin to see some selling pressure resume around that area, leading into a situation where price action is caught within a range between the $74.55 level and the $75 area to give us a sign. an insight into the level of indecision in this particular market. And you know how we do it in this community. When price action falls into this kind of range, we want to remain patient, waiting for new structures to mature before we join any potential move. And one of the things we are going to be looking at when we fall into a situation where price is on a flat channel, we want to wait for a breakout of the resistance line to give us an opportunity to buy, while the breakdown of the support line to give us an opportunity to sell. But considering the fact that price action has been bullish since the beginning of the week, as you can see, we had an impulsive move before this whole consolidation phase is happening here, which might likely incite a transition into a trend continuation pattern in the form of, let's say, a bullish rectangle pattern, because that is what this current structure is looking like. And for those who are already profitable on this trade on the USOilSPOT, I'm going to be advising us to have a buy stop order sitting above the $75 level so that we can capture this trend continuation to the upside. But if you are yet to take a position on the USOilSPOT this week, and this is going to be your first time you are going to be buying the USOilSPOT, well, I'm going to be advising you to remain patient here, as those who are already profitable have a leverage on the profit they have made so far to test waters around that $75 level to see if the bullish momentum will click. But since you've not had any position this week, and this is going to be your first time you are going to be trading on the USOilSPOT, I will advise you to remain patient and wait for a breakout of structure to happen. So as soon as a breakout of that level happens, we scale down into our lower time frame to look out for a retest of structures, and this is going to be a sign that sellers are finding it difficult to break back down that $75 level, and this would reflect on the chart as something like a retest of structure, continued by pressure around this area. Then at this point you could join that bullish move to the upside. So this is how we are going to be managing our existing trade here. And in fact, I want to extend my TP at this point to around the $80 mark, so that I want to continue to ride that momentum as it goes and move my stop losses accordingly to maximize the potential of that move. And if you are taking advantage, if you had placed your buy stop order at this point, and by now the buy stop order should have been triggered, and the stop losses will definitely be around the support line or right below that area if you want to give enough room for price action to breathe. So this is my view on the USOilSPOT for today. So I intend buying, and this is how I'm going to be buying. Anywhere above the $75 area seems promising to be joining another wave of bullish momentum to the upside. Now, in as much as we are in a buy position at this point in time, we also want to consider the potentials that the sellers have in this point in the market. Does sellers have the tendency of pushing price to the downside? Well, from the current market structure we have here, and judging from what has been going on since the beginning of the week, remember that we had this ascending trend line figured out yesterday after connecting the series of higher lows. For the last 24 hours, that was as at yesterday, we had this trend line, and in fact this trend line is going to be serving as our yardstick for trading activity this week. And what that simply means is that as long as price action remains above the trend line, we shall feel comfortable in our buy position and also look out for more opportunities to buy. So now, talking about the potentials of sellers at this juncture in the market, I'm of the opinion that we could have a retracement phase, as those who bought price at a very cheap level at the early hours of the week, let's say around the $73 area, could likely want to be doing some profit-taking activity ahead of the CPI data to see what will really happen then. And if that is going to be the case, this would reflect on the chart as a retracement phase, where the breakdown of the $74.55 level could incite a move back into the trend line, a line which also shares a confluence with that key structure at the $74 level. And remember that the $74 level was broken to the upside yesterday during the New York session yesterday. And from a technical standpoint, when price action breaks out of a structure, there is still a possibility that price could come back to retest that structure and incite another wave of bullish momentum. So if sellers come in at any point in time to push price to the downside, just don't panic or don't worry, as we already have a bus stop along both the trend line and the $74 level to capitalize on a trend continuation to the upside. So now what we are going to be looking forward to, if price action drops to the downside, we are going to wait to see how price action will be reacting with this confluence. Now, depending on what happens here will now determine if we are going to be adding more buy positions to our buyers, bullish buyers, or getting ready to sell. So now if price gets into the structure and we begin to see buy pressure resume around this area, it could come in the form of a double bottom structure, head and shoulder pattern, or even a falling wedge depending on what kind of reversal pattern it is. Identify your neckline, and the breakout retest of the neckline on our lower time frame should welcome the idea of buying the USOilSPOT. However, if price action drops below the trend line and the $74 level to the downside, and we start seeing a retest of structure, signs that sellers are gradually gaining momentum, and in fact buyers are failing to break back above the trend line, then we are going to be good to sell the USOilSPOT for today. So these are the things we are going to be looking at on this one. And remember what I said as regards to those who are yet to buy or open any position on the USOil this week. You want to remain patient for a breakout retest of that 75 level before joining any move. But for those who are profitable, we can afford to leverage on the profit we had made so far this week to test waters around that area and see if price action will continue to the upside. So these are my views here on the USOilSPOT for today. If you have any questions whatsoever, feel free to let me know in the comment section. So I will be taking the next 10 to 15 seconds to see if there are any questions before we move on to the next instrument. And you can as well use that time to mark out these levels on your chart, as you will be needing them to as a reference point to guide trading activities for today. I see your comment, Tyson Brian. Good morning to you. Thank you very much for that feedback. I really appreciate it. Dele, good morning to you, Dele. Trust you are doing very well. I'm glad you are fine, and thank you for waiting despite the delay this morning. All right. All right, so in the absence of no questions, I want to assume that we're on the same page here. So I will be moving on to the next instrument on our watch list. I don't want to take too much of time here, as I'm having another session in about 30 minutes from now. So the next instrument on our watch list is going to be the GBPUSD. The GBPUSD hit my TP target yesterday at the 1.29700 area for me to scoop over 300 pips in profit on this one. Let's quickly run through what really happened at the beginning of the week that led into the idea of buying the GBPUSD. Now, if you remember vividly, at the beginning of the week, we identified a range where price action was caught within, and that was between the 1.28420 and of course the 1.28200 level, to give us an insight into the level of indecision at that point. And you know how we do it in this community. When price action falls into this kind of range, we want to be waiting for price action to either break out of the resistance line or break down of the support line for opportunities to trade. And in fact, prior to the beginning of this week's trading session, we saw the breakdown of structure. We saw how price came back to retest that level, and in fact, we were part of this bearish move into this area. And one of the lines that we said we were going to be using to guide our trading activity for this week was that descending trend line that we spotted there. And with the hopes that price action will continue to the downside, that is, we might come back and retest the trend line to incite another wave of bullish momentum. But instead, what happened was dramatic. We saw the breakout retest of structure on our lower time frame, giving us an opportunity to join the bullish move right there during the New York session on Monday. And since then, we have been buying the GBPUSD. And remember, we had buy stop orders at the breakout of the 1.28420. We also had one at the breakout of the key level situated at the 1.28500. We also had one here at the 1.28750. In fact, we had multiple entries, and during the live session yesterday, I told us all that we are going to be taking advantage of more opportunities at the breakout of the 1.28950 and of course the 1.29150. So it has been quite a very profitable trade for us all the GBPUSD, and in fact we also add this ascending trend line which has been guiding that trading activity throughout the first half of the week, and presently price action still remains above that trend line. So for those who are taking advantage of this bullish move, well done to you guys for being on standby to have caught this opportunity. Now, the next line of action, I don't know if you're still in the trade at this point in time, because if you are still in the trade right now, I'll suggest you move all stop losses to secure your current buy position at this point. Now, before we go into the details of what our expectations is going to be like for today, I would like us to quickly run through my commentaries on the GBPUSD this morning as to what I said we are going to be doing to manage our position on this instrument. So this is how we have been monitoring the GBPUSD so far this week. As you can see, that was the first sell position for the week before we saw the breakout of structure, giving us an opportunity to buy. Now, this morning I shared here that the price successfully reaches the take profit target, resulting in a profitable gain of more than 400 pips across 4 positions. As we embark on a new day, our focus shifts to the eagerly awaited release of the CPI data later today. The market current outlook continues to exhibit a bullish sentiment, and we rely on the ascending trend line as our primary reference for trading strategies. So now let's go back into the chart right now. So this is the trend line here. And in fact, this is going to be a key determinant of where price action is likely going to be going. So you definitely want to be identifying this ascending trend line, marking these levels on your chart, as it's going to be serving as a major yardstick to guide our trading activity. Now, what this simply means is that as long as price action remains above this trend line, we of course want to feel comfortable in a buy position. Of course, look out for opportunities to buy the GBPUSD. But if price action breaks down the trend line at any point in time, then at this point we are going to be looking out for opportunities to sell. Now, if we scale in and zoom into the current market structure here, let me zoom in so that we can see of today. Despite the strong bullish momentum, we saw that as soon as price got into the 1.297, where my TP target was, we begin to see selling pressure around this area. And in fact, this lasted for about 4 to 5 hours, giving us an insight into how strong the sellers are at the point in time. And now, as a result of this persistent selling pressure, price has dropped to the downside and currently on our ascending trend line that we identified earlier. Now, this makes this very, very interesting at this point, as you would agree with me that we are at a critical point in the market where anything could actually happen. And for the fact that price action is currently trading above that ascending trend line, we need to exercise some patience, looking for patterns and structures that will support the idea of either buying or selling. Now, if we begin to see reversal patterns around this area, something like buy pressure, then we want to be getting ready for another wave of bullish momentum, and that simply means that price action is about to respect the ascending trend line one more time. But if price action breaks down the trend line, then at this point we will start considering selling. Now remember, we are not going to be getting too excited, as we are not having a sell stop order in this kind of scenario. Remember, price action has been very bullish in the last couple of months, and For us to sell here, we would need a significant confirmation that sellers are actually gaining momentum. So what I want to be doing here as soon as the breakdown of the trend line happens is for us to scale down into a much more lower time frame. It could be your 5 minutes, 10 or 15 minutes time frame to look out for confirmation that buyers are finding it difficult to climb back above that ascending trend line, and this would reflect on the chart as a form of retest of structure, continued rejection of this trend line, or the 1.29350 to incite that bearish move to the downside. And in fact, we have many structures here that we can use to maximize that move if price action continues to drop to the downside. So we have the 1.29150, we have the 1.28750, and we also have the 1.2 what is that one again, 1.28950 to maximize the potential of this bearish move. And for those who are very profitable on the GBPUSD so far this week, who have actually taken advantage of a sell momentum at the breakdown of the 1.2395, which still falls within the script of this current market structure. So let's see how things will play out from this area, and trust me, I will be with you in the comment section of both my TradingView and Telegram platform to give you updates if anything interesting or significant happens on this current market structure. So if you have any questions whatsoever, feel free to let me know in the comment section. So I will take the next 10 to 15 seconds to see if there are any questions before I move on to the next instrument. All right, so in the absence of no questions, I want to assume that we're on the same page here. So we shall be moving on to the next instrument on our watch list. So the next instrument on our watch list for today is the XAUUSD. What a phenomenal trade we had on this instrument yesterday, but unfortunately I was unable to follow up with you guys during the XAUUSD live monitoring window, which always occur here on our YouTube channel, and I explained why that is earlier, and in fact I shared a note on my public platform as to why that is. I was having technical issues as regards to my internet service provider, which is yet to be resolved at this point. I'm actually using a backup from somewhere else to run this session at this point. So during our live session yesterday, let me quickly run through what really happened during the course of the week and into yesterday's trading session. So here we are on the 1 hour time frame, and remember that we had this ascending trend line which we were using to guide our trading activity for this week, and that started from Thursday of last week trading session, and as you can see, our price action had consistently respected that trend line. Though we had selling opportunities at the beginning of the week when price broke down the structure at one point, but price climbed back above, and since price action broke out of the 1,925 level, we have been buying this commodity. We rode the move all the way to the upside. And during our live monitoring window yesterday, I told us all that we shouldn't panic about this bearish momentum that we were seeing here yesterday, because I got a lot of chats on my private DM that are we going to sell at this point, and I told them that we are not going to be selling here yet, and the reason is simply because we are on a very strong ascending trend line, and you know how we use our trend lines in this community. As long as price action remains above our ascending trend line, we have no other choice than to continue to look out for buying opportunity. And I told us yesterday that we are going to wait patiently and see how price action will react with our key level at the 1,930, and of course the ascending trend line to determine what our next line of action will be. And one of the things I said we are going to be looking out for when price gets into that structure are continued buy pressure around that area, or a breakthrough of that structure. So I said here yesterday that if price action breaks down, then we look out for selling opportunities to the downside, that is breakdown, then retest of structure on our lower time frame, we shall look out for selling opportunities. But in the contrary, I said here that if price action continues to find buy pressure above both the trend line and the key level at the 1,930, we shall be getting ready to buy the GBPUSD, and that was exactly what happened during the later part of yesterday's trading session, as we saw another bullish move that pushed price to find new highs in this market. And in fact, since that moment, we had about a 100 pips move before another wave of bearish momentum happened. So despite the fact that I was not with you guys, I hope you follow the instruction appropriately to take advantage of that move. And if you had done that, well done to you for being on standby to have caught that move. And if you still have a buy position running at this point in time, well, I will be advising you to move your stop losses to secure the current position. And for those who are already taking their profit, well done to you. But from the current market's outlook, it's still looking very, very bullish. Now, before I go into the details of what we are going to be looking for today, let's run through my commentary on the XAUUSD this morning. So for those who are with me on both my TradingView and Telegram platform, will have gotten this update and will have acted on it accordingly. But let's run through it together so that we can be on the same page. So this is how we have been monitoring the XAUUSD since the beginning of this week. And in fact, we are tremendously profitable on this instrument. Now, let's look at what happened. Okay, this is what I shared yesterday during the live session before we went offline yesterday. I told us all here that as discussed during our live session this morning, price just tested our week's key level at 1,930. That is it right here. And trading still remains around that zone. We are going to exercise patience and see how the price reacts to this level to decide what our next line of action will be. So we have a simple setup on the 15 minutes time frame to guide our trading activities for today. So this was a simple setup that was guiding our trading activities yesterday, pushing us to enjoy that bullish momentum we took. Now, this morning I shared here that the market continues to display a bullish outlook with buying pressure remaining strong above the key level of the 1,930 level for the week. Our trading activity today will be guided by the ascending trend line as clearly shown on the chart. However, if both the trend line and the 1,935 are broken and tested to the downside, it will present opportunities for selling. Now let's go back into the live chat and discuss and deliberate what I was talking about here. So I think I had a new chart which I shared yesterday, which was let me see. Okay, that is it right here. Now this is the chart I shared on my XAUUSD live monitoring window, and that is the ascending trend line, and you can see what is going on in this market right now. Price action in the last 4 hours have been consolidating right at a very critical confluence where the ascending trend line and the 1,935 shares a boundary together. And at this point, you will agree with me that we are at a very critical point in the market where anything could actually happen. So on my chat this morning, this is what I shared with you guys. And I said, we are going to be buying the rejection of this area, or we are going to be selling the breakdown retest of this structure. Now, fact price remains above the ascending trend line. Of course, we definitely want to be risking some buy position here. So, and if you are taking advantage of that move, well done to you for being on standby. You want to have your stop loss somewhere around the 1,932 level, which will be dovetailing to you can give it enough room, maybe around 30 to 35 pips. Stop loss will do at this point in time. Let's see how price action will be reacting to that level. And if price action continues to the upside here, then we want to be having another buy stop order above the 1,941, which happens to be the highest point price action has been for this week. Now, a breakout of that zone will definitely be a beautiful sign that sellers have been taken out and buying momentum is beginning to flourish around that area. So as long as price remains above this ascending trend line, we have no other choice than to buy the XAUUSD. But if at any point in time we were taken out of our buy positions and price action drops below the ascending trend line, then at this point we want to start considering selling the XAUUSD. Now, if the breakdown happens, we want to immediately scale down into our lower time frame, where we want to be looking out for patterns and structures that will support the idea of selling. And one of the things we want to be seeing here are signs that buyers are finding it difficult to climb back above the 1,935 and of course the ascending trend line. Then when this is noticed, we want to be joining a bearish move, and this will often reflect on the chart as a retest of either the 1,935. It could be just a sharp retest of the structure. It could be consistent rejection of the structure or the ascending trend line. Then we can join the bearish move to the downside. And if price action goes on to break down our key level at the 1,930, we definitely want to be maximizing the bearish potential by adding more position to our existing trade. But if buy pressure resumes again above the 1,930, definitely it's going to be an opportunity to buy the XAUUSD one more time. But trust me, I will be with you in the comment section of both my TradingView and Telegram platform to give you updates as at when due. So if you have any questions regarding what I just explained so far, feel free to let me know in the comment section, and trust me, I'm here and willing to be of help in that regard. So let's see if we have any questions, and before we move into the last instrument for today. All right, so in the absence of no questions, I want to assume that we're on the same page here. So we shall be moving on to the next instrument. And yes, for the XAUUSD live monitoring, I hope that we are going to be going live again today by 11:45 AM UTC, which is going to be like 15 minutes before the New York session opens. So I want us to hang in there so that we can be part of that live session, and I hope things work out as planned. And I will be sharing the link to that window in the comment section before the end of the session. So I'm trying to sort that out. So I'll get back to you in a moment on that one. So moving on into the last instrument for today, and the last instrument we are going to be taking for today is the USDJPY. And the USDJPY has been one of the most profitable instruments for us so far this week, as we have been selling this commodity all the way from Monday, Tuesday, and today too. We are still looking out for selling opportunities. So let's quickly run through how the market began on the USDJPY this week. In fact, it's a very, very simple setup. There was no headaches at all. There was no point trying to decipher if the market will go the other way or not. So it was a very interesting setup. Let's quickly run through what really happened at the beginning of the week. So here we are on the 1 hour time frame of the USDJPY chart, and the first thing we observed on this chart was a price action started the week on a very strong bullish note, as we saw buy pressure resumed above our key level, was situated at the 142.00 level. And you know that whenever price action remains above our key level, of course we want to be looking out for buying opportunity. But one thing that's restrained us from just buying at this point, though this all happened in the middle of the night, so we were not around when this all happened, is that price came into the structure around the 143.00 level, another psychological level there, and we saw selling pressure resume around that area. Then price dropped into the support line again, and you saw how buyers were finding it difficult to find new highs in this market. And you know how we do it whenever price action falls into a range like this. All we just want to do is to remain patient, waiting for either a breakout or breakdown of the range to happen. And with our buy stop placed at the resistance level and the sell stop placed at the support line, of that range, we had our first sell position triggered right there during the New York session on Monday. And since then, price has been dropping to the downside. And remember that we had levels like the 141.00 level as areas where we want to add more position. If you remember, then we also had another one here at the 140.42000 area to maximize the potential of this move. I think we were able to scoop close to 400 pips on this one so far this week. So for those who are taking advantage of these opportunities, well done to you for being on standby to have caught this move. Now, if you still have a sell position running on the USDJPY this morning, it is quite reasonable for you to move all stop losses to secure your current sell position. And for me, at this juncture of the market, I will be suggesting that this third entry area should be where to move all stop losses to, as we want to of course give room for price action to breathe. Then before we go into the details of what our expectation is going to be like, I would love to share with you what my commentary said here this morning on the USDJPY. Now, on the USDJPY, I already shared a commentary on my public platforms, both on the TradingView and Telegram platform, where we explained what we are going to be doing to manage our trade this morning. So I said here approximately 500 pips from 3 positions running at this point in time, secure positions as we look out for more opportunities. So this is the structure here. We have 3 positions running with close to 500 pips in profit at this point. So now going back into the live chat, what is going to be our plans for today? Well, it's quite simple. It's a very simple setup we have here. Price has been finding consistent and uniform lower lows and lower highs in this market. So we will continue to hold on to the bias of selling as long as price action stays below our trend lines. And remember that we had this couple of trend lines identified at the beginning, I think yesterday, of course, after connecting the series of lower highs and lower highs rather. And we had the trend lines figured out yesterday. So we will continue to use this trend line as our guide going forward. So what this simply means is that as long as price action remains below this trend line, we shall feel comfortable in our sell positions, and we also want to be looking out for more opportunities to sell. Now, the lowest point price action has gotten to for this week is the 139.400 level, as you can see here. So what I'm going to be doing here is to have another sell stop order below the structure to capture that bearish move to the downside. Now remember, we are profitable on this trade so far this week, so we could afford to leverage on some of the profit we had to test waters around the 139.400 level to see if this bearish momentum is going to click. So if you have been part of this this selling opportunity we took advantage of on Monday, well done to you. So you could still have fought to leverage on some of the profit we have made to test waters below the 139.400 area. Now, let's talk about the bullish expectations here. What chances does the buyer have in this particular market? Well, for the fact that price action still remains below the bearish trend line, I don't think they really have any say here. That the worst case scenario I think that could happen at this point could be buy pressure resume, which could be a retracement of the previous impulsive bearish move, probably back into the descending trend line, or even go to as far as the 140.420 to incite another wave of bearish momentum to the downside. So these are one of the scenarios I want to be looking at for buyers at this particular point in time. But if we see setups that significantly have firms that buyers are gradually gaining momentum, of course I will definitely share them with you in the comment section of both my TradingView and Telegram platform. And one of the things that will make me want to change my idea of selling at this juncture of the market is to cite a reversal pattern. It could be a double bottom structure. I want to see higher lows here, something like this price inability to break the previous low, finding higher lows. Then at this point we will start considering buying the USDJPY. But if this does not happen, we still remain very bearish in this particular market. But trust me, I will be with you on both my TradingView and Telegram platform to give you updates as at when due. So if you have any question, these are my views on the USDJPY for today. If you have any questions whatsoever, feel free to let me know in the comment section, and trust me, I am here and willing to be of help in that regard. So I can see Richard Blackett, you said okay now, thanks. All right, you're welcome. All right, so let's see what will happen the next 10 to 15 seconds, if there are going to be any questions, and if there are not, then we just draw the curtain while I also take that time to look for the link for the XAUUSD live monitoring window, and I will be sharing that in the comment section in a moment. All right, everyone, I already dropped the link to the XAUUSD live monitoring window right in the comment section, so you can check it out. Click on the link, click on the notify me button so that you can get notified as soon as we come online. So I think on this note, I want to thank everyone for being patient with me, though we didn't have quite a number of participants here today like we had in the previous days before now, probably because of the time shift that happened. But I thank goodness that we were able to take the market before the CPI data, and as well as decipher how to position ourselves ahead of this event. Please ensure that you move your stop losses on all secured position, on all buy or not open positions. You want to secure whatever profits you have made, as you don't want to miss out on the profit you had made so far. And there is a tendency to have volatility in the market today as a result of the anticipation and even after the CPI data. So let's keep this in mind, but trust me, I'll definitely be with you in the comment section of both my Trading View and Telegram platform to give you update as at when due. And please everyone, support the project. Your likes are very valuable to me. If you found this content useful in helping you make your independent decisions on the instrument we've been monitoring so far this week, why not give this project a thumbs up by liking and clicking the like button? Your likes are valuable to me, and it helps the YouTube algorithm to push this video to a wider audience of traders who would also find this information and material useful to them. Thank you very much as you do so, and it's on this note I wish you best of luck during the London and New York session today, and I hope to see you in the comment section of both my Trading View and Telegram platform, and of course the XAUUSD live monitoring window as we continue to monitor price action. Do have a wonderful evening, everyone. Bye bye.